the Momnesia podcast, a podcast for moms where we share the stories we want to remember and the ones we wish we could forget. We're your hosts, Julie Short and Sarah McLaughlin. To Momnesia.
Hey, everybody.
We are so excited to have you here with us. Hopefully you had a chance to listen to our first episode where you heard a little bit about Momnesia and why we're here and doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. But we also want to give some time at the beginning of each podcast before we head into our episode where we interview our guest to spend some time chatting with one another.
Yeah.
We have busy weeks, just like all you moms out there, and we rarely get time to sit down and chat. Most of our relationship is happening over text messages or Marco Polo or Facebook Messenger. I definitely feel like that movie, what was it?
The Net. Just kidding.
I don't even know what that is. But that when Drew Barrymore is talking in a CVS or something, she's like, it's so confusing these days. It's like you hear from somebody on text and they reply in Facebook Messenger and then you don't know if you're going to get a voicemail.
Oh, right. I don't know what that movie is. I was joking because The Net was that ancient Sandra Bullock film with the floppy disks.
I do remember that. Okay. But yeah, so we rarely have time to actually sit down and chat. So we're going to have some time at the beginning of each episode to catch up.
Yeah. And we're going to call it
Let's Catch Up. Very unique. We are very good at this.
Clever people.
Very clever. So it'll just be an opportunity for you to get to know us a little bit more and talk about our motherhood journey. Mm-hmm. Talk about what's going on in our life that week.
Maybe what we're thinking about, what we're reading.
Exactly.
What's going on in our life and world. Yeah.
And so, Sarah, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to just jump in and take the lead.
Yeah.
Do you have like existential crisis moments?
I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, so daily.
Oh, okay. I am not a 4, so I didn't know that was a thing that 4s do.
Okay, tell me. What do you mean?
A few. So there are random times when I get them. Usually it's like I'm driving in the car and I like see people passing by and I'm like, that person, I don't know that person. I'm never going to meet that person.
Right.
They have an entire life going on right now that I know nothing about.
Right.
And it freaks me out.
Right. Because you've kind of intersected, but not at all.
But not at all.
Yeah. That is weird.
I may never see them again.
Right.
So that's one of them. The other ones I have is when I am driving across the country. It usually happened a lot when we were driving between Phoenix and San Diego. And it is like desert when you are driving through there.
Okay.
But like occasionally you'll see like 5 houses. And I'm like, what do these people do? Where do they work?
Right.
Where do they get their groceries? I mean, Amazon now.
Right.
But
do you think
these existential crises were before Amazon?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe we should try and get Jeff Bezos on here and see if we can ask him those questions.
Yeah. No, who's that again?
He's like the guy, the Amazon guy. He's the one that got it all started.
Yeah. Okay. That Jeff.
Yeah. That Jeff.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. So my current existential crisis, this happens often when I am standing in front of the mirror, getting ready in the morning. I mean, rarely do I sit and look at myself in the mirror other than when I'm getting ready in the morning.
Your vanity and you're like 99 brushes, 100.
Yes. I like to count as I brush my beautiful hair.
Right. Your locks.
Anyway, so I'm usually standing there looking in the mirror and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I am a mother. I don't know why it freaks me out, but when I look in the mirror, I still feel like I'm in 8th grade. Right. And I'm getting ready for school. But then I'll hear when my children yell and I go to this place where I'm like, oh my gosh, I am a mother. How did I get here? What is happening?
Right.
I am responsible for these 2 children. And one of them's almost taller than me. Mary Kate has grown an inch in the last 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
Or it hasn't even been 6 months, since June.
Right. So is it like the normal routine of what you're doing, or is it that you're looking at your own reflection? Like, what do you think it is that triggers it then?
I think it's the reflection.
Yeah.
Because like when I look at myself, I still see like young, it's usually like middle school or high school Julie.
Right.
It's not college Julie. It's not like young professional Julie.
Right.
It's like little Julie, little precious Julie.
Right. Little 8 pound, 6 ounce
baby Jesus. Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, but it's usually, like I said, when I'm getting ready in the morning. And I don't know if it's just that habitual routine of getting ready every day of my life.
Right.
That sparks that or what. But I sometimes just can't believe that I am a mother.
I know. I have that. Yesterday I had something kind of like that for a totally different reason. Like, it wasn't so much like it hit me over and over, how did I get here? But it was like, who am I that I'm doing all these random things, and how do I assimilate this?
Yes.
So yesterday morning, it was pumpkin party at my kindergartner's class.
Okay.
And, you know, I was excited to go, and I get over there, and I've helped out in the class. I think I've mentioned this maybe before, even on the podcast, helped out over there before. And so I'm in there and I'm going to say hi to Anna, and she's like, hi. And I'm like, hey, babe. And she's like, remember, I didn't really want you to come.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, well, like, all the parents are here. It's just, we're just coming to watch what you're doing. I already knew what she was feeling was, I got this, Mom. And that's, you know, that's what we want and all that stuff. But I was like,
more power to
we're all here, babe, and I'm just going to watch. So this happened 3 other times where she said, okay, like, do you want to do this other station with me and this, but do you think you could not come next time? Like, she kept asking.
Dagger to the heart.
I know. And then at one point she was really frustrated trying to cut out a craft with these tiny scissors, and I was trying to help her. And she said, Mom, I just feel like you're always trying to help me. And I said, you know, I'm really glad that you're able to tell me that that's how you feel. So I'll just watch. No problem. And the teacher came over, and I was thinking, is the teacher wondering why I'm not helping? Because she's visibly frustrated,
Yes.
tears in her eyes even about these scissors. And I was like, it's not on me.
Right.
You know, like, she told me not to help, so I'm just happy to watch. So that was interesting.
Don't judge me, teacher.
Right.
Don't judge me.
It's all about me. And so the next thing I did was one of the weirdest things I've ever done. I'm always thankful for the work I get to do.
Oh, wait. So we're leaving school?
We're leaving school.
So you stayed the whole time?
I stayed the whole time. Now, at one point, I actually asked Anna, do you want me to leave, honey? And she kind of smiled and was like, you can. And I was like, dang, honest. I was like, okay. I was like, or what if I just like go over there and grab a chair and I'll just watch everyone and watch you? And she's like, okay. So that's kind of how the rest of the time
you
went.
sat in the corner.
Right.
And stared
Nose
on.
to the wall.
Time out, Mom.
I mean, it was fine. But
man.
I'm like, the teacher did say, you know, I really encourage them to be independent. And I noticed Anna was helping some other students, whether they wanted it or not. I'm not sure. I think they did. But
Here,
I think
let me help you with that.
Right. I think she really took great pride in like being a helper. And I was cramping her style a little bit. So blessings on her that she's independent.
Blessings, Anna.
Blessings, Anna.
Okay, so you leave the
So
school.
peace out. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm nailing it or not. So I go on to the next thing I'm doing. And there is a friend of mine who runs a talent agency in Indianapolis who's booked us for some of the big, like, Zubilation type events in Indianapolis, fundraisers and things. And she also directs for TV commercials. So she asked if I would do a TV commercial.
Hey,
film star.
Yeah, podcaster, artist,
film star by night. Oh, that sounds weird.
That does sound weird.
So, I was like, sure. I've never done that, right? And but not to shoot myself in the foot. So sure, I'll do that. And I was going to play a pilgrim woman.
Okay, a pilgrim.
Yeah, and you'd think it's in my wheelhouse, but but not really. So the whole bit was like this heating and air conditioning company that's open 24/7, and so every person, Santa, Uncle Sam, the pilgrims are pointing out, but not on our day, right? And he's saying, even on your day, Uncle Sam and Santa. So that was kind of the funny part. That's the gist.
So you're in a pilgrim costume.
Yeah. Now let me tell you, as you know, I'm turning 40. I made a big deal about my birthday, in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And I am feeling a lot more aware of if I see a gray hair or wrinkle, I'm like, it's all downhill from here. Like I can't put it in any sort of perspective. And so yesterday I took baby wipes to my face right before I was coming from the school. I was told to come barefaced and makeup artist would be there. Well, we're like blocking for the commercial, like getting in our places, rehearsing. And I was like, so are we still going to do the makeup and hair? We haven't done that yet because it sounds like we're getting ready to record. And they're like, we decided that since the pilgrims didn't wear makeup, it's fine. You don't need to wear any either.
How do we know the pilgrims didn't wear makeup?
And I died on the inside.
My goodness.
I became a shell of a person in that very moment because I was already like, I'm going to this professional setting and wiping my face completely clean. And it was my TV debut. Au naturel.
Au naturel.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I was picturing that the casting call said, dowdy, haggard woman, weathered from the times, makeup free. And I came to mind.
And they said, let's call Sarah. Oh,
so straight.
Friend, that is not true. Just gonna call out that lie right now.
All right. Thank you, friend. Thank you. So straight from there, to continue on me, straight from there, I went to an awesome concert, so out of my norm. My friend initiated and I was like, yeah, I totally want to do that. So we went to the Vogue, and that's in Broad Ripple in Indy. I'd been there a couple times to sing, but I had never attended a show there, never been in the audience and felt just how close everybody is to you during the show. I mean, the tallest people stand in the front row and everyone else has their phone all up in your business trying to film the rest of the show.
Of course.
But we saw Lake Street Dive. They were amazing. I was out so late and went out to dinner, went out for dessert, went to the concert, stood outside. You have to show your ID and get patted down. And I was like, yes, I'm young. This is amazing. From room mom to pilgrim to young person at the Vogue. So I had a crisis though on my drive home. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? Little different reason, but yeah. Yep. Then I woke up and packed 5 lunches and I remembered who I was this morning.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of lunch, and I hate to kind of rub it in, but my kids love it when I come to their school. They are begging me all the time.
Right.
I'm sorry. And
I do have 4 other kids that like it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. But when I go, it's like you are the local celebrity. Every kid wants to be near you.
Wow.
They want to hold your hand. They want to hug you.
They sign my lunchbox.
Yeah. And they want to tell you every story that they've ever told in their life.
That's sweet.
Very sweet. But I do love it. I get to go to lunch every once in a while. And I don't know how you guys do it at your school, but at our school, you sit at a special table and your kid gets to pick a friend to come sit with you. So it's like a little mini People's Choice Award. You know?
Right.
So it's always exciting to see who you're going to sit with this time. And I love seeing my kids interact with their friends at school.
Is there special food, or like, is there a maitre d' at that table?
No, there's not a maitre d', no linen napkins, no centerpieces, but you do get to go through, the school lunch line. And call me crazy, I love school lunches, man.
You do? I do too.
I loved them growing up, and I still love them today.
Yeah. I think the sloppier, not the sloppy joes, but like the more noodly it is, like chicken and noodle type, or the things with the mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah.
So good.
And
it's
not
like straight salt, probably.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, love going to school lunches with my kiddos.
So, we actually don't do those anymore. This is the first year.
Your family doesn't?
Well, this is the first year at school that they don't really offer an option to come in and have a friend sit with you. Like, everything has changed, and I don't even know exactly how they do it. I just heard kind of through the grapevine this week that they'd changed that. Everything after the school shooting in our district in the spring has made for a different level of lockdown, a different type of security. And, to be frank, like, so much has changed in the interactions of people. Like, I've seen things, as I've told you before, otherwise probably pretty healthy, sane people, like neighbors, would be able to work out and talk through things. But a lot of people have been through trauma on our street, having kids at the middle school and the high school in Noblesville, and they're living on edge. It's been a really tricky thing. And another thing in our system, I'm curious if you have this or if you've seen this. You've heard about helicopter parenting, I'm sure.
Yes. Okay. I was an admissions counselor. I definitely know about helicopter parents.
Tell us what that is then. With regards,
Well, it's the parents who are hovering so close that they tend to do all the work for their student on behalf of their student, filling out applications, speaking on their behalf during visits.
Right. So generally it leaves them ill prepared to do stuff on their own.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the new phenomenon I've read a little bit about is called lawnmower parenting. Have you heard about that?
Lawnmowers? No.
Yeah.
Tell me about lawnmower parenting.
So lawnmower parenting is similar to helicopter parenting, except that you are, as a lawnmower parent, kind of going through and mowing down the obstacles. You're preventatively making sure that your child will eclipse ever having to face them.
Interesting.
And you're not only helping walk them through like a helicopter parent would any situation, but you're making sure you eliminate it before they have to like face it.
Wow.
So
does this tend to like run in certain generational parenting? I'm trying to think of because we're Gen Xers. I can't imagine a Gen X parent doing that.
Well, I think it's what they're finding with kind of K through 12 kids now and their parents. So people our age that have kids in the school system. I've seen articles floating around because I just wonder sometimes at our school, are there enough people that are going, okay, listen, we know you want to be here for everything. We know you want to come for lunch. You want to help out in the room. And your greatest skill set is micromanaging. But I just wonder what it's like in a generation where, like, we haven't really seen how this will play out yet in our system. Like, what does it mean when you have a bunch of parents that are functioning in a way as lawnmower parents, or there's that temptation there that really have to kind of put it on pause and stay out of the school a little bit more for a while. So that's kind of a curious thing. And I definitely see this phenomenon. I mean, would you say you can, like, I know this is a new concept to you, but could you see how that might be something happening with our age and our parents that they're doing? I mean, our age and our friends that are parents that are kind of trying to do that for their kids?
I definitely would have to think about that. Like you said, this is a new concept. I can definitely see people clearing out those obstacles because I feel like we hear also a lot about, and that's why, like I said, this is so new to me.
Right.
I feel like I've heard the opposite. Like, as Gen Xers, we want our kids to fail. We've seen what it's like to have these helicopter parents and all these studies on resiliency and grit and, wanting to prepare our students that if you fail, that's not the end of the world. It's how you get up and try again. So that's why I'm fascinated by that idea of, getting all those obstacles. And I wonder, like you said, not generational, or if it's in different socioeconomic.
Sure, yeah.
Because our communities are very different.
Yeah, they are.
And so I'm totally fascinated. I'm excited to go look that up and read a little bit more.
Yeah. There's always something to learn. There's always something to be mindful of. Like, I can hear those couple different, dangers, parenting dangers, and be like, I could see how that would be easy to do. I mean, of course, we don't want our kids to face pain, but sometimes they just need to toe the line and do hard stuff and be tired from all their activities and still get their homework done or whatever it is. Or say no to something social and be like, because you have to do this other thing that you don't want to do, and that's hard. So it might not just be trauma, like shielding them from that. It might just be like the way that we'll say, well, little Susie's really busy and she had basketball tonight and homework, and then she has play practice tomorrow. And I mean, it's not really fair to them to make them do chores too. There are a lot of ways I think we try to eliminate hard things for them because of our pace, or we want to give them opportunity. And those other things might really be needing to get up the totem pole of importance.
Well, thanks for taking time to catch up with us. And we're excited to dive into our interview time. We're bringing on a friend who has been a part of our journey. Her name is Lisa Pay, and we'll tell you a little bit more about her when we bring her online. Let's go get Lisa.
Ladies, we're sitting here and we have a very special guest for this episode. My good friend Lisa Pay is here, so thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be.
There's so much I could say about you, but I want people to have a sense of who you are and what you do a little bit. But I do want to say that I'm thankful that you're both a friend, someone I look up to, an extraordinary mother, but you're also an incredible leader in the academic community, someone that we know from Anderson University, someone I had as a professor, and there are just so many things that you do and do well that informs who you are. So we're really thankful and eager to hear from you. Oh. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, I'm thrilled to be here with the two of you.
Thanks.
It's like you said, I feel like I've known you quite a while,
Long
which
time.
makes me feel a little old, but that's okay. That's all right.
Us too.
Yep. I have been at Anderson University for 29 years.
Okay.
And have taught for about 19 of those, and directed the counseling center on campus for 10 years before that. And I also work with a ministry called Lives Transforming.
Yep.
And a part of that ministry has a private practice counseling branch. So it's wonderful to be able to do that a few hours a week and stay connected with folks in that part of the journey, but then just to enjoy students.
Awesome. Now, one thing that comes to mind for me growing up, I grew up in a family where it was very safe and welcome to question things, to doubt things. in regards to faith or family, or to just kind of have conversation. That being said, I did grow up in a pretty conservative environment in a Baptist church, and before that in a Catholic church. And so when I got to school and met you, I kind of associated you with the professor who talks about the naughty stuff. Like, you had a certain...
Have you taken human sexuality with Lisa Pei?
So right away it was like, I just thought, wow, like I felt like you were this person who was willing, with courage and with truth behind it, to bring these things to the forefront that needed to be discussed. And I honestly hadn't really experienced that in a Christian community prior to that. So that's another thing. I'm like, that's a part of who you are and what you do that is bold and cool and just so helpful, so necessary for us.
Sure. If we can't talk about everything, then most of the time that stuff goes underground and gets used in ways that aren't healthy for any of us. So I was thrilled that when I took on that faculty position, that was a part of the course load. So even though I'd been comfortable working with it with people in counseling settings, it was different to then be teaching it and integrate a healthy spiritual perspective, but still talk openly about something that was very good that a lot of situations and even religion tries to make naughty, like you said.
Right. So tell us a little bit also about your role as woman, your role as mom. Like, what's your family life like?
Right. Well, I'm kind of at that point where there's more free time, as far as there's different than the two of you that are full on, hands on, little ones in the home that require everything, you know. And my girls, two girls, they are 21 and 25, and one of them is married, and one of them is on her way.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of this very different phase of watching your children, who now, for the two of you, like require, you know, all kinds of energy that you love to provide emotionally, physically, and all that.
Sometimes.
Sometimes we want a nap.
Depending on the day. Into these young women who are adult friends and who they're the people that I always want to spend time with. There's no one I would rather be with than them.
Yeah.
And what a blessing. And I think on most days they feel okay about hanging out with me as well. So they ask me to do things. So that, it's a very different phase, but for the last few years, but it's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And your girls are, I mean, they're so cool and insightful. And I, of course, met them when they were younger than my kids now. And they were little band rats hanging around when
on the buses.
Yes. So they grew up, you know, exposed to all kinds of stuff, I'm sure, with music and college kids and being in a college community. And to see them grow just as a kind of fly on the wall has been pretty cool. And now, of course, I get to do studio work with them sometimes and
I know, they love it.
See what phenomenal women they're becoming. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I love having people that are still in my circles who knew them when they were so little. And that's really cool to get that kind of feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
It's something both of you have to look forward to.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And what we want to do today is force you to kind of think back and think back to some of those memories. We are inviting our guests to share a story, one that they want to remember and one they wish they could forget. What would you like to share with us first, Lisa?
Let's start with the one I like to remember.
Okay, cool.
All right. And it's going to sound like, why would you want to remember that? But it was kind of like the plumb line to decide, okay, I'm taking the motherhood thing all the way to the wall. I'm doing it.
Balls to the walls.
I'm doing it.
Right.
Do we say that for women?
Oh,
of course.
Okay.
Strap them on, girls.
Boobs
There's
to
a
the
whole
wall.
sex lesson there if you'd like it.
Yes.
That's our other podcast.
Right. All right.
After hours.
That'd be very fun. So when my girls were about 2, well, maybe 3 and 6 years old, we were on a family vacation. We went to see my brother who was in Colorado. And there's this really cool place outside of Denver near Boulder called the Butterfly Pavilion. Right. Yeah. So you go in there and there's, monarch and all kinds of butterflies all over the place. So my girls are loving it. It's wonderful. I'm loving it. It's beautiful. And set apart in this other room, in this special room, there's Rosie. And Rosie, I guess, is world renowned. Rosie the tarantula.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's not where I thought you were going.
There we go.
Okay.
So Rosie has this special time every day that you can go and line up and everybody gets to hold Rosie. Okay. And Rosie
Sounds
will
like a very special time.
Very special, right? And Rosie will
fuzzy, if you will,
fuzzy and warm, and she will. And there's probably been 30 Rosies, right? Because tarantulas don't live 30 years. So yeah, she's been around forever. You could probably YouTube her. I'm sure she has her own channel, but you could put her.
We may link to that.
Okay. On the World Wide Web.
Yes, you get a whole nother genre there. So my girls growing up. Backyard, creek, critters, everything's awesome. They cannot wait to hold Rosie, but they're a little reticent. They're a little, I don't know if we want to. And,
sure.
Mommy, will you go first? And then we'll go right behind you. And I'm going,
yeah, Mom.
I've been hiding my spider phobia for a lot of years, very successfully.
You're very good.
Arachnophobia.
Very good at what
Arachnophobia. I was trying to remember the word. That's it. Yeah. I've been hiding that from them, and now I am completely on the spot. And when I mean phobic, there's a whole story behind why, and I legitimately had every right to avoid spiders.
Okay.
So I get in line, and, the whole panic attack, you're talking yourself through it.
Right.
But I get up there, and I even kept my eyes open, and this huge thing as big as my hand was on my hand and crawled about up to my elbow.
Oh my goodness.
And I breathed through it. And when you're trying to not transfer your own crap to your kids, you become a really good actor.
Right.
So they're both looking at me like wanting to see how much I'm loving it. And so I'm acting like I'm loving it.
You're getting an Oscar
for this one. Right. Exactly.
Goodness.
So it was over and they did it and it was fine. And the clinical term is flooding. I no longer have any issues with spiders.
Wow.
I cured myself because
that is awesome.
It was not intentional.
Flooding. I got to write this down.
Yeah, flooding, right. Flooding. Exposure. And when you do something that's the right thing for your kids, oftentimes it ends up being the best thing for you too.
Right.
You know? So yeah, that's my good mom story. Not so much that the girls would remember that, she was such a good mom. It was more about I realized I was taking it to the as far as it could go for me.
Right.
Taking one for the team.
To try to do for the team of motherhood.
Yes.
To try to do the right thing.
Wow.
It's so true how our kids are constantly watching us and how much they pick up. This isn't a phobia, but I dislike coconut. Do you know why I dislike coconut?
It's gotta be good.
Because my mom dislikes coconut. I don't ever remember trying coconut and thinking I don't like it.
Bad experience with coconut bras.
Right.
Okay.
One on the
my
head.
mom. And so then not long ago, I heard Mary Kate say she doesn't like coconut.
Oh, no.
And she's never tried coconut.
Cocophobia.
I'm like, we are passing down generations of coconut phobia through the Sebastian Miller line.
If I could shake my fear of flying, if I could get on an airplane again with my kids. I mean, I fly somewhat often, but not, 5 kids, do the math. We're not flying very much as a family.
Right.
But I did have a situation as a child where we had an emergency landing. I was in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
And then another time, it wasn't an emergency, but it was very scary. And it brought back, I couldn't see why. I was on a plane with my whole family and we were visiting my brother who was working out in Wyoming. but the rest of us were on the plane. And I kept thinking, why after this experience, why isn't anyone else affected?
Huh.
What? And I think it went back to this other kind of traumatic thing. But it's interesting. Now I'm like, could I flood myself? Could I go to California tomorrow with my kids?
There you go.
Or maybe just hire a little Cessna plane. Is that what they call
Oh,
them?
gosh.
You and two or three.
Oh,
my gosh.
I'm telling you.
me
Okay,
nervous.
tarantula.
That's
Tarantula,
like
little plane. Come on.
hurricaning.
That's true. It's not like you held a daddy long legs. You held a tarantula.
But I do have to remind you that my phobia for spiders came when I accidentally ate daddy long leg. Yeah.
Oh my
Those
goodness.
Now, I've heard those are poisonous. They can't bite, but somehow.
Not when you mix them accidentally with a saltine cracker.
Oh my
I think it
goodness.
might have taken care of the poison. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
where it came from. So
Yeah.
it's legit.
Yeah.
Just like yours, legit.
So even though your story's kind of funny and light, it makes me think of ways. I think this is okay to say because I'm bringing it up and I'm the client, so I'm not breaching any confidentiality. But you have been, a mental health counselor for me, and I have seen so many ways that you can reframe
Sure.
something as silly as the tarantula, and you have a way to say, okay, what in this is a teachable moment, and what has stuck with you, and that is pretty powerful. Not everyone's able to do that. And I've seen firsthand how you've helped me to be able to do that. So I think that is the neatest part of the story, of course.
Yeah. And it's funny because oftentimes I don't even think about that till I'm talking about it. And I really think that's kind of where God joins us in whatever we're doing and serving others. So we're present for them. But yeah, I'd love to say that I'm just always thinking like that, but I'm not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of just in the retelling those things kind of to come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have to just tell you guys quick, your butterfly, saying that you went to a butterfly exhibit makes me think about the time I took back when we were homeschooling. The world was our oyster and everything was this teachable experience in the name of schooling. And we went in September to the zoo, the Indy Zoo. And I took Soren, who is now in 5th grade, and her little friend Mackenzie. And we got there and they said, oh, unfortunately, the butterfly exhibit just closed. So it's not open anymore. And
Like closed for good, or like you got there at 5?
closed for the season. No, closed for the season.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I kind of wish I wouldn't have asked this, but I said, so what do you do with all those butterflies?
I know,
And I
it's
pictured
coming,
some romantic opening, retractable ceiling, and they
Fly to freedom.
fly to their paradise. And no, they basically have to extinguish them through burning.
Wow.
Oh, they're burning.
I think it's through some sort of smoking out or something.
Oh,
Now, don't quote me on this.
I thought
Don't call
they
the zoo and
naturally
protest.
just kind of died because they only live so long. But wow,
I'm 99% sure there was some sort of,
it's the
gentle
Holocaust of
incineration.
butterflies. Yeah,
and the girls are just looking at me like, what does that mean, Mommy?
Great teachable moment.
Wow.
how'd you reframe that?
I don't remember, but I'll think about it.
Right.
I don't remember right now. It was
Let's
just
go see the
shocking.
dolphins. Right. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, distraction is
Yes.
brilliant.
Yes.
One of the best tools of motherhood.
So let's now head into our story. We wish we could forget.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like I have more of those than the other, but it is one of the ones you can laugh at because your children survived it and they are still on the earth. But yeah, Morgan is the oldest, and right after you bring your infant home, the whole world is different.
Totally
Oh, yeah.
different place.
Yeah, it's exhausting, but it's also so different. So I was kind of in that fog, and it was probably maybe 4 or 5 weeks, so it wasn't just right away. But for some reason, I was trying to get the house clean, and now that's a whole different experience, trying to get anything done. So I'm trying to get the house clean, but yet she's kind of fussy. And I think the batteries had died in the swing, you know, or the
Mayday.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't find the batteries for.
They weren't those crank ones?
No, we actually, I think we were in battery land by then.
Good.
Okay.
And so what I would do is when I was vacuuming, I would she was in the car seat, you know, and I would just carry her from room to room.
Oh, ouch.
You know,
That's heavy.
Yeah. I mean, the house wasn't that big, so it wasn't too difficult. So I'm getting her to room. And I'm trying to, you know, get the vacuuming done, rushing. And so we're in the living room. I have her, you know, just a few feet behind me while I'm vacuuming. And so
I was picturing you.
Oh, no, I wasn't holding her while I was vacuuming. Yes.
All right, gotcha.
I was doing my workout. So I go to pull the plug out of the wall because I want to get to the other room and do the next room. And I pulled it too hard and was just going to kind of lay it down beside me, but it actually ended up kind of flying behind me. And didn't think about that until I heard that, you know how they do.
Yeah.
And then the scream. And I turned around and there was a lovely little imprint of a plug on her forehead. Because it hit her right on the forehead.
Winning.
I'm like, I am the worst. And again, I mean, it was just like you didn't mean to do it, but you're the one who's doing the most harm to your newborn, just trying to vacuum. So that was not a good moment, and I really had to push through the shame. And that's really what it was of bad mom. Because what if it would have hit her in the eye? Right? It could have been a million things. So I pushed through that so I could sleep that night. But it felt horrible.
Well, and it does. Everything in those first 6 months to a year just feels amplified.
Yeah.
And you do just feel like you have to be the protector of this fragile little being.
Right.
And I just threw an electrical plug at my child. Yeah.
Right.
I can
hit her in the head.
Yep.
And that's the beginning of...
That'll leave a mark.
Yeah. Son of a... That's the beginning of that type of loop of questioning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that... I don't know about you guys, but that certainly hasn't gone away for me. It's always...
I don't deserve to be a mother.
Yeah.
Why did they give me the license? Right.
Right. So we didn't tell you we were going to ask this, but as far as someone that's a little further down the road from us, tell us some insight. Give us all of your advice right now in 3 minutes.
All of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Give us a little bit of insight into that specific part about answering some of those questions, stopping that loop. What would you say about that?
You mean stopping the loop in your own head?
Well, stopping the loop in our own head of, I did that and I don't deserve this baby, or I'm not doing a good job, or what would you say to that?
Yeah. Boy, it really does happen continuously because we continuously don't do things as well as we'd like. And sometimes we know it in the moment. Sometimes we look back on it. But what I don't know how good I was at the time in doing the reframing in my mind, or kind of stopping the cycle that takes you down the rabbit hole of, you know, I'm not a good mom. But I think that if we really lean into the present moment with whatever's going on with our kids, instead of staying in that, this is what I did wrong, that the love that's kind of huge almost keeps you in the game. You know you're responsible, but you can be responsible and just be in a wretched person and in a bad mood all the time. But to go beyond that and just recognize how awesome they are in the moment allows me to kind of let go of how awful I was 10 minutes ago. You know, I appreciate the things I see both of you post on Facebook, but you're very transparent in the middle of an awful catastrophe. You still allow yourself to say, yeah, this was a bad day and this is what I did or didn't do wrong. I remember just this past week, there's something like you saw gray hairs and you started crying, and all your kids came around and they're loving on you, and you're like, you know what you could have done? You could have gone, oh, I am being horrible that I'm not embracing my beauty and realizing that I want to model to my daughter.
Proverbs 31.
Exactly. Instead, you're like, this is hard. And what do our kids do? They don't get, it doesn't harm them when we're honest.
Yeah. Doesn't scare them, doesn't harm them.
No. And instead it gives them an opportunity to move into their natural capacities to love us. And I think when we receive that kind of grace and love from our kids, then it's just really hard to hang on to that contempt for ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've just appreciated both of your posts over the years with your full-time lives.
Well, that is something we want to try to do, is that we do want to show all sides of this motherhood journey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to get into that trap on Facebook, as well as maybe even in a podcast where you only show the highlight reel. And that's just not what true life is like.
Right.
And
that's a lot of work to keep up too.
It is.
Oh,
it is. And I think it allows that space for others to connect with you.
Yeah.
When they see, oh, she doesn't have it all together.
Right.
And I can tell you, neither of us
have
it all together.
I'm offended. I think...
I don't have it all together.
What's the saying? I resemble that comment.
Yeah, I resemble that remark.
So something you said, I mean, I love that. I love what you said. It makes me think of a thing I've been thinking on and working through, that when I find for me at nighttime, for instance, last night, my 3-year-old Willow was up a lot of the night. When she's overtired, this happens. And one of the things I do is the things I could rationalize in the day, reconcile, that make sense, are very loud and confusing at night.
Right.
And I go back and question things. Now, she had a NICU stay and back to the pediatric unit, and tons of antibiotics pumped in her preemptively and preventatively, and time, here she's an identical twin, and she was in an incubator alone without me and without her twin. And I'm praying that somehow God himself would be her twin and all this stuff.
Sure.
So, okay, now fast forward 3 years to a night like last night, and I'm going, is she awake a lot at night? Because she feels some sense of abandonment from week 2. And then I'm going,
wow.
But what I'm getting at is what I constantly am working through is trust right now that at that time you made the best and wisest choice. Now, could it have affected her? Maybe. I don't know. I can't answer that. And she can hardly talk, and there's no way if she could articulate it. But all I can do right now is be kind to myself now and be kind to myself then that made that choice.
Yeah.
Right.
And the resources I had and the amazing husband and village I had. And now just deal with the fact that she's getting up. Like, try to lock that out. So I think part of my reframing has been that, like, lock the guilt out about the last time you made a choice of what's happening now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that's something I've been thinking a lot about.
Yeah, we can't know what we know until we know it. So giving ourselves that grace. And I always think, that lies love to pull up the past in order to ruin the present. So you were doing the best you could last night and exhausted, but the lies come from, this event in the past that would ultimately usually cause us to parent worse in the present if we're thinking that we should have, shooting on ourselves or others, fairly stinky and never helpful. So, and trust. I love the way you put that. That trust that you did the best you knew in the moment, and that God kind of meets us in that big gap.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll have to do the math on all that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got one more thing, and Julie, I'm going to turn it over to you to do.
Okay.
Do you want this?
Lisa, we're so grateful that you have come to hang out with us for a while and share some stories with us.
Thank you.
We want to end on a bit of a fun note.
Okay.
And this is called the Mom Seat. And it is going to be like a hot seat experience where I am going to give you two choices and you have to give us your gut reaction.
Okay.
One
we
word
have
answer.
a massage to go along with the hot. Okay.
We do not. We do not have a massage. I
right.
apologize. But so one word answers.
All right.
And
were you going to give me a choice between one or the other?
Yep.
correct.
Got it.
And it's just something Julie had to tell me because we tried this and I sucked at it.
She wants to like debate the answers and say, well, maybe both, but it kind of depends. I'm like, no.
You land the plane.
Answer.
Land the plane. It may not be all encompassing. You may have been both at different points in your life. That's
All right.
okay.
All right.
And this is a judge-free zone.
Yes, absolutely.
This is fun.
At least till you leave the room.
Right. And you'll talk
Remember
about me. Okay.
No, we don't do
no,
that on the
we
Momnesia
don't.
podcast. This is fun.
All right.
You're having
Okay.
fun.
I'm having fun.
You're having fun.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to start the clock.
All right.
Disposable or cloth?
Disposable.
Bottle or breast?
Breast.
Pinterest mom or Amazon Prime mom?
Amazon Prime.
Jeans or yoga pants?
Yoga pants.
Top knot or ponytail?
Top knot.
Home birth or hospital?
Hospital. Drugs.
Chore chart or managing chaos?
Chore chart.
Gender reveal or find out when it pops out?
Find out when it pops out.
Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook.
Homemade or store-bought?
Store-bought.
Lullabies or sound machine?
Lullabies.
5 servings of veggies per day or month?
Month and Burger King a lot.
President of the PTA or I'll send in some goldfish?
Goldfish, depending on the issue.
Bubble bath and a good book or girls' night out?
Girls' night out.
Weekly meal plan or McDonald's drive-through?
McDonald's drive-through.
Homeschool or go to school?
Go to school. Get out of my hair.
In your home, are you free bird or robed up?
When you had kids, let's say.
Okay. Saturdays are boobs day off. But most of the time I'm robed up,
Okay.
but not too restrictive.
Okay.
Favorite parenting resource?
God.
Favorite place to buy kids' clothes?
It used to be called Gymboree.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yay.
That is the mom
Did I do it?
seat.
Woo!
You did
That wasn't
it.
bad.
That wasn't.
Yeah.
I was very certain on most of them.
And
Good.
some of them you were kind of, I was thinking like kids' clothes today.
Yeah.
Like, would you shop for Gymboree for your married,
Daughters?
Gymboree for your married daughter?
No.
Okay,
would
so where
you-
would you buy
yeah.
them clothes now?
Online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Amazon?
Maybe, or there's a couple little fun boutiques,
Oh,
that
that's fun.
I love to get stuff at. So,
Great.
Fun.
yeah.
Well, that's
you. That
that's
was
the
fun.
mom seat. Thank you so
Fun.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our guest tonight.
Oh, thank you.
For your willingness and grace with us and your candor to share those things.
Well, thank you for doing this. I mean, man, we need it. And I'm so glad you guys usually have you're on the pulse of what we need in a lot of ways in what you post, and this is going to be awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we hope you will come back next week on the Momnesia podcast, where we're going to share more stories before Momnesia sets in and we forget it all. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Today's episode of Momnesia was recorded at Grace Church in Noblesville, Indiana, with original music by Phil Larson. Make sure to check out Grace's podcast, Between Sundays, and Phil's music at Spotify or iTunes.